the mid-size truck market is finally heating up. And well, it's partially thanks to this, the 2024 Ford Ranger. Hello, my name is Jimmy, and let me tell you everything you need to know about this truck. Yes, its basis is very similar to the previous generation. However, there's been enormous updates that, well, make it a much better truck overall. But it might not be the one for you. Let me explain. The new Ranger only comes in one cab size and one bed length at just shy of 5 feet. So unfortunately, if you, well, want 6.5 foot bed or 8 foot bed, you still have to step up to the F-150. But unlike the F-150, the Ranger is still, well, compact enough to feel in place in the city rather than an F-150, which might feel a little bit out of its elements. And of course, there's a Maverick, but the Maverick can't tow 7,500 pounds like this. In terms of looks, I think it's a good looking truck overall. As this is the Lariat trim with the FX4 package, there are bits and pieces that's a little different, but we got LED headlamps and tail lamps. Looks good. There's nothing wrong with the physical aspect of the truck itself. And I think it's a little bit more interesting than the previous generation, which always felt a little, well, bland and boring. As for the inside, the rear seats, myself at 5'11", I got plenty of legroom, headroom, it's good as well. Behind you do get a powered rear window, which is nice. But what's weird is this gaping hole right here. I feel like there should be air vents here. However, they just forgot to add it for whatever reason. You do get a few outlets on the bottom to power your devices though. If you're fitting car seats, well, I am a child passenger safety technician. Let me show you exactly how car seats fit in here. On the driver's side, this is a Collect Link infant seat. As you can see, infant carrier can fit inside with really no issues within the cabin here. On the passenger side, this is a Collect Finfin rear facing. There's still plenty of headroom, so it's still a relatively large cabin for even a bulky rear facing seat. As for in front, I'm 5'11" and I still fit in front of that rear facing seat, so real no issues here. The only thing is the lower anchors are quite tough to get access to, as they're just behind this material here. As for the top tether that's just behind the bench, the only thing I would say is if you're installing two forward facing seats, it's going to be a little bit of a pain because the rear bench is one single unit. So when you flip it down, well, you got to flip the entire thing down. So if you have two forward facing seats, you got to get access to both of the upper anchors before you buckle them in fully. So you're just a little bit of a pain. Same with the bottom here. It is a full single piece, unlike the F-150, which is split. As for the front seats, pretty comfortable, very accommodating. For some, it might be a little too narrow, but for me, 5'11", 180 pounds, I'm fine. In front, pretty normal Ford steering wheel. You got all the buttons that you normally would have. And then behind that, you do get a digital cluster. The cluster is kind of configurable depending on your drive modes and what you kind of want to see in the center, which is nice. So you can adjust it to what you need depending on if you're towing or whatever you're doing. You don't get a heads-up display, but you do get a gigantic display right in the center here. Of course, being a flat display, it's kind of weird because it's just, well, right against the dash. So the angle of it might be a little bit awkward to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. You do get some dedicated physical buttons just below for kind of the main stuff you would need. I've been using CarPlay mostly through the wireless system here, and it's been fine. I mean, the overall interior, it's nice. You got a padded door sill, which is nice and soft. Same thing with the dash. And, well, the armrests, both are very comfortable and soft. However, for some, if you have like bony elbows like I do, you're going to notice that there's actually a plastic or, well, probably a plastic ledge right underneath the corner of the material. So if you put your elbow just at the corner, you're going to feel that lip and it's going to be super uncomfortable. So you just got to move your elbow a little bit. Small complaint. Probably most people won't even feel it. As for the power plant, you got a 2.3 liter EcoBoost here, 270 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through a 10-speed and 4-wheel drive. You can option for a 2.7 twin-turbo V6, bumping power to 315 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. And of course, above all else, you got the Raptor. But this this is the sensible one. The 4-cylinder is the one that chances are you're going to get. It's, well, just more economical overall, and you can still tow 7,500 pounds. But this 2.3, I think it's sufficient for most people that's going to be buying this truck. The 10-speed does hunt a little bit. Like right now I'm driving like 50 kilometers per hour. If I step down, it just has to step down a few more gears than others. And because of that, it's just a little bit delayed. And what's worse is, for example, if you're on an on-ramp, you just don't know if you have to pass a car. So you press throttle and then there's a car that's right there, so you depress. You're kind of on the brakes and you're like, oh, the guy's letting me over, so you press the accelerator again. Yeah, that really just messes up the algorithm, and then the system just does not know. It's just like very, very confused. But that's typical 10-speed stuff. In regular day-to-day driving, I think you'll be fine. The suspension, it is a little bit more firm than some may like, but it's pretty truck-like. It still feels really isolated. Some others in this segment are not as good as this. This still feels, well, more car-like than others, which definitely do appreciate. What I also appreciate is, well, all the towing packages that you can get. So unlike some other brands where, yeah, you can definitely tow, this has the Pro Trailer Assist, where using the same drive mode knob here, you can back up a trailer with. It's really cool tech that they put in the Ranger from the F-150. I actually really like that. It just makes, well, having a trailer a lot easier. Not everyone's going to be a pro at backing up a trailer, especially when you're buying a Ranger. I just feel like, well, you're probably not going to be a veteran of backing up trailers. You're just going to be someone that's maybe a little newer to it, or maybe hooking up a trailer that you rented, just because it is a city truck. That's kind of what it is. So that option is actually quite nice. What I will say it misses is just the four-wheel drive aspect. While yes, it has four-wheel drive, it doesn't have all-wheel drive. So there's no automatic mode for the four-wheel drive system. So you can only pick two-wheel drive, four high, and four low, which is fine for most people who know exactly what they're doing. But for some, when conditions are slippery, well, really you don't have a choice other than leave it on two high or on four high. And I just feel like some people that's going to be like looking at the Ranger may not know the difference between those modes and when to use them. As like I said, this is like a city truck. This is for someone that's kind of new to the whole truck scene. It's not an F-150. And that's what you have to keep in mind. It's not as wide, it's not as big, and it's not as mighty. But it can still do quite a bit of the job that the F-150 can, and it can still fit in places the Maverick can as well. In any case, I think that's really it. That's what I got to say about the Ranger. Pretty good truck overall. This Colorado Tacoma's pretty pricey, but this kind of slides right underneath that. But yeah, anyways, you let me know what you like in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.